Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Nirapundia. A lot of San Francisco 49ers fans have questions about George Kittle's groin injury heading into the season opener. Here's a quick breakdown of the injury itself, what are the various diagnoses it could potentially be, as well as return to play timelines. Now, the first important thing to understand is that when an athlete injures a groin, that refers to an anatomic area, but doesn't necessarily mean what specific structure has been injured, and that's what determines return to play. Now, the most common injury is an injury to the adductor longus muscle. Now, that basically is the muscle that runs on the inside part of the leg. And for many of us who play sports on the weekend, this is quote unquote the muscle that gets injured in a groin pull. Now, in terms of grading, there are basically three different grades of this kind of injury, just like with a hamstring injury. Grade 1 are microscopic tears, grade 2 are partial tears, and grade 3 are complete tears. Each higher grade means more time missed. Now, in general, if you look at NFL players who suffer an adductor injury, this takes all grades together, the mean time missed is 15 days. Now, this can be a little bit less if it's a grade 1 injury, may potentially be a little bit more if it's a grade 3 injury. The good news is that surgery is rarely indicated. In terms of things you do to help athletes return to play, you want to basically get inflammation and pain out of that area, ensure that you have full range of motion, and make sure that muscle and potentially that tendon are healing as well too. The key thing is to make sure you don't go back too early because of the explosive nature of football. That area can get re-aggravated, so it's better to err on the safe side and not have athletes come back too quickly so they can re-aggravate the muscle. The other two diagnoses that are a little bit less common but can basically give athletes groin pain is a sports hernia, which is number 2. Sports hernias are basically where the abdominal muscles attach to the pelvic bone, and if there's a disruption in that area, then you can get groin pain, which can mimic a muscle pull, but is actually an injury to the abdominal muscles where they attach to the pelvis. The third basically injury that can happen is something called a labral tear in the hip. That basically means that something within the hip joint itself is causing groin pain. This is relatively rare in athletes from an acute standpoint. Very rarely do athletes injure their labrum acutely, because how that would happen would be through a hip dislocation or subluxation, where basically the ball comes out or tries to come out of the joint. Typically, this more commonly happens over repetitive stress over a period of time. And we see this a lot in soccer and hockey players.